Happy Sunday. It's TFCC Sunday. Thanks for joining. Today I wanted to talk about grip strength. We get a lot of questions regarding grip strength, and it's something that I ask people to acquire to better understand what's going on in their wrist. So I wanted to talk about grip strength. So grip strength is the measurement of the muscle strength of the muscles in the forearm and in the hand. And we measure them, right now the gold standard for measuring grip strength is using something called a dynamometer. And a dynamometer is an expensive tool that's been calibrated and used for research to understand grip strength in the human wrist for a long time. And we know that grip strength is, men have more grip strength than women. The age group that has the largest or highest grip strength is age 20 to 24. And we also know from research that was done by a Hawaiian physician is that grip strength is related to longevity. And so we have some wonderful research on what grip strength looks like, what it should be, what pinch strength is. And so I wanted to show you real quickly what we do. I'm going to invite somebody in. How we measure grip strength in the clinic. Hold on just a second. I'm going to call in a colleague from, let's see here. I'm going to call in a colleague, Serenity. She's going to join us in a second. Dynamometer is used in the clinic to measure grip strength. Let's see if she joins us. Oh, hello, Serenity. Thank you for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so I just wanted to show everybody how we measure grip strength in a clinic.
Can you see me?
Sure can.
Okay.
A little bit closer, a little bit higher, and a little bit closer. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. This is a dynamometer, and there's 5 rungs there. And what we do is a rapid alternating test where we test the right, and left. And the person who's doing the test doesn't see the force that's generated on that little valve there. So the clinician sits and looks at it, and the patient goes into the first rung and squeezes as hard as they can, and it moves it, and we mark it, and then we switch over to the other hand. And our elbow should be at 90 degrees, which you can't do because there you go. So elbows at your side, and shoulders at your side, and arm at 45 degrees, 90 degrees. Okay, so we go right, left, and we do 3 sets on each hand. So we rapidly alternate 1, yep. All right, and then we move the rung to the second spot. And we know that it was on the second. We just do the second rung because that's where normal grip is generated. But we can start at the first and then move through the 5th. But go ahead and move to the 5th, Serenity. So what we normally see is a bell-shaped curve. So on number 1, it's low. On number 2, it's high. Number 3, it's also high. 4, it drops down, and then 5, it goes weak. The number 5 rung is there, and it requires the hands to reach out a lot further, and then we measure grip. And this is what we see is a low 1st rung and a low 5th rung to create a nice curve. So normally we just measure the number 2 rung. There's also a way to measure weight bearing, which was done by Joy McDermott, where you take the rung and we turn it upside down so that it's turned facing up. We placed it on the floor and you push down on that spot as a normal weight bearing. All right. Thank you, Serenity, for showing us.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so the other thing we do is pinch strength. We use a pinch meter, and we measure pinch. And what we do first is lateral pinch, tip-to-tip pinch, and tri-tip pinch. So there's a lot of people on the planet that don't have access to these wonderful tools. And when I ask them to go to their doctor, their therapist, to just get an understanding of their grip strength, there's a lot of people that don't have access to that. So what I wanted to go over was what other tools do we have available to measure what our grip strength is. So you can go online and you can look at the normative data on grip strength based on your age. And what you'll see is that your dominant hand is stronger than your non-dominant hand. And it's about a 15% variable. So you can measure your own grip strength and then correlate it to norms. So there's this product called the Squegg, and I was really excited when this came out. It's an app that you download onto your phone, and to turn it on, there's one size, and there's a placement for your fingers, and you turn it on, and your app pulls it up, and you can do a measurement. And what you do is when you measure it, you place your fingers around and your thumb here, and you squeeze really hard, and it generates a force that you can measure on the Squegg app. Then you can do your other side. It's not very easy to compare right and left. There's not like an option for right strength and left strength. It doesn't specify dominance or non-dominance, but it does do a great job at measuring what your grip strength is, and it has a program for strengthening, which I really like. There's how long can you hold it, and then how many repetitions can you do over a period of time, and then the strengthening program where every time you squeeze it generates it, and then you can watch it over the course of time. And the grip strength measurement that it calculates is very similar to what the dynamometer. It's a little bit higher than the dynamometer, so I can measure my grip strength and then do this and compare and see that this is just a tiny bit higher, but not much. So it's a really good, affordable way to measure and work on grip strength. It's called the Squegg, Squeeg, and I think this is wonderful. I don't like that it's one size. There's a couple of things. The other thing is that it has these little divots in it, and you can grab your hand and put it around like this and squeeze, which is good, or you can do it like this, which is good, but they're different. This one is very different than this one, and so just take note of that when you're doing the measurement. So whatever way you choose to do it, just use that consistently, because if you're strengthening, both of those will go up. All right, it doesn't offer a lateral pinch. I really wish that it did do a lateral pinch and a tip to tip. And these are actually important to understand, but yeah, that's the Squegg. Then there's this other kind of new product coming along called a Gripable, and this is another cool device that is not yet available to most people. I was asked to do a test run of it. This is it is a prototype. It's in development, and I like this a lot too. This is a lot more of a natural hold, and it also offers software that can measure pronation and supination and rapid alternating grip, and it's designed by clinicians. So I like this, and I think that it's going to come down the way. It's going to be a usable model to measure grip strength and to work on grip strengthening. It has an attachment for pinch, which I love. It also is there. I'm really hoping to get a weight bearing attachment, so we can also use it for measuring weight bearing if you're going to be doing grip strength. Okay, so here's what we use to measure grip strength. In general, your weight bearing tolerance should be about 15% more than your grip. So if somebody has 100 pounds of weight bearing tolerance, then I know that their capacity for grip strength should be about 85. And if you go and you measure your grip and you're at 45, you know that the stability is there, but you need to do some grip strengthening exercises. So understanding what your grip and pinch are first, what your baseline is important, and also understanding what your weight bearing tolerance is important. Then the next step is, well, what do you do to get your grip strength better? If you don't have these devices, but you have the test, you've gone and you've tested your grip strength, and you want to strengthen your grip, there are a million different forms of grippers, and I'm chosen a bag of sand or a tennis ball because those are all readily available. They don't cost any money, and they can do a really nice job at strengthening the grip. So the things that are important about grip is that the ring and the small finger are the main generators of force for grip strength. The half of the third finger, bringing the third finger down into grip, you can do grip with the index, but you can't do it all the way straight. So your fingers, your long finger and your index finger, generally come down nicely to form a conical shape to generate grip. So everybody has different sized wrists and fingers. You have large, long fingers and short, smaller fingers. And so getting the tool that you're using to grip to fit your hand is part of the challenge on grippers. So a sock of sand works really nice. You can use a bag of sand as well. You can do, coarse sand, thin sand. This is just regular Hawaiian sand. But what I like about it is that you can get your fingers around the sand and comfortable for your unique wrist size, finger, wrist grip size. So we know that the most efficient grip, remember that rung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're really tight, it's very low. If your fingers are extended out from here to here, you get a higher grip strength. And so we know that your most powerful grip is when your fingers are create this C shape where this joint, and this joint is bent. You don't want this joint bent too much, and you don't want this joint extended too much. It changes the force. So this joint here should be bent, and it should look like this. And this is, oh, by the way, how we measure the right tennis racket size for generating force. So I use this sand, and what you want to do is you want to squeeze first in TFCC tears. What we know is that there is a dynamic that goes on in the elbow that's important. You get a overactive bicep and a tight bicep and a tight pronator. So I recommend doing, in patients that have TFCC tears, if you're doing a strengthening program, I recommend doing the grip strength exercises on the ground with the elbow straight, in starting at anatomical position. So anatomical position is our starting position. It's where all the muscles are put in equal length, and it's arms at your side, palms up, head on the ground, back on the ground. You can do it up against the wall as well. But you do it first with supination, and you squeeze, and what you want to do is squeeze and really hold, and you will find, if you start in anatomical position, that your elbow feeling sensation when you're doing the grip changes. And this is important. You'll get a lot more tension in your triceps, and you will also feel the biceps stretch. Sorry, I'm trying to charge my phone. Here's a second. Okay, so I recommend that you start your strengthening exercises on the ground in supination, and then move to neutral, and then move to pronation. So elbow straight, palm up, bag of sand, straight, and then squeeze 15 reps, stop, and then again, and stop, and again, three sets of 15. The other thing that's important to do is a static hold, where you hold it as long as you can. You can time it, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. See how long you can generate that hold. The last one is repetition. And so what you want to do is you want to see how many repetitions you can do in a minute. So you squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax, and see how many you can do and how quickly you fatigue. So these are all ways that you can, at home, strengthen your grip. Now, I don't recommend doing wrist extension curls in TFCC tears until you have stability in your wrist, which is at 65 pounds. The strengthening muscles, you can work on strengthening all along the course of your recovery, but you're going to do different levels of strengthening depending on where you're at. If you're below 20, what you really want to do is dexterity and sand, just to keep all your muscles and tendons moving. No load, no force. 45, same thing. You can do a little bit more gripping, 45 to 65, you can do a lot more gripping without in neutral pronation and supination. 65, you can start doing dynamic stuff. So, and once you get to 65 pounds, you can start doing dynamic strengthening, and you can kind of keep your muscles strong as you're going through your strengthening program. I'm so sorry, I just need to charge this phone. Okay, I'm on my 60s and I have a slack wrist. Will a scaphoid widening? My compression grip is 4. What's the best exercise I can do? Okay, scaphoid lunate problems are usually related to the brachialis and brachioradialis at the elbow, and that was really new information that was described by Mariela Espolgas in Spain at the Kaplan Institute. What she found is that when the brachialis and brachioradialis muscles are cut, there's a gap between the scaphoid and lunate, and when they're strong, you can lower the gap. So the strengthening of the wrist for the TFC for a slack wrist entails holding weight with your elbow straight and doing a radial deviation. Okay, hold on. But you want to make sure, even in a slack wrist, that you've got that stability, which you have defined. You've got 60 pounds of weight bearing stability. So that's wonderful. All right. I am so sorry. Hold on. Okay, any other questions that you guys may have? Let's see. Oh, how do you know if you're gripping something properly? So the main thing is that you're generating the force through the pinky and the ring finger. If you have a small pinky, and some people have a small and then a really long finger, you want to adjust the grip so that your finger goes around it. And you don't want your fingers to be flat, you want them to be curled. So in this situation, you would adjust it so that your fingers are around it. And this is a mistake a lot of tennis players make, but with too big of a grip, that it's not maximizing the force generation that you get out of your flexors when you're swinging a racket. So, and some people with really short pinkies have a really hard time getting a racket to fit. So they end up using a lot more of the ring and the long finger for grip, not maximizing their potential for grip strength. The largest grip strength we've ever seen is 200 pounds. And that's pretty remarkable. Pretty rarely do we see it above 100. 140 is in athletes, and in tall young athletes we do see grip strength that goes over 100, but for the most part real average person is really in the 60 to 80 range of grip strength. Pinch strength is also is much lower, 12 pounds and 9 pounds and 5 pounds respectively. So lateral pinch, tri-tip pinch, and index pinch is not a lot of force. You do need, for most function, you need 60 pounds of grip strength. Opening up jars, some of them require more grip strength than the average person has, and somebody really should measure that when designing jars, because opening jars gets really hard for people as they age, because as we get older, our grip strength goes down. It doesn't have to, it just does. Okay, so let's see if I can get this phone to charge so we don't lose you. Ask your questions if you have them. There we go. Okay, so grip strength is important. Grip strength, it tests the flexors and the extensors. Also of note, the flexors are about 80% stronger than the extensors. The extensors don't hold a lot of force. The main force comes from your primary wrist flexor, flexor carpi ulnaris, and flexor carpi radialis. And your extensors are anatomically they're smaller, they're longer, they're more for dexterity and stabilizing the wrist rather than pure grip strength. The extension of the wrist is is involves the brachialis and the brachioradialis of the forearm. So it's important to strengthen grip for function. It's also good to measure your grip strength. If somebody has a low weight bearing tolerance, people who have central tears, complete tears of the central portion of the TFCC, so the trampoline actually splits down the center. Those people lose their grip and their weight bearing tolerance immediately. And what's interesting about them is that as soon as you put the wrist widget on, their weight bearing goes to normal. But the fact that they lose their grip strength right away, so it could be somebody that's super strong, that has got a full muscle capacity, and then falls and blows out their TFCC. Now their grip strength is suddenly gone. Gone. And so this is why I say it's important to have, you need stability first before you get grip strength. Grip strength won't come back. Working on your grip strength will not do anything for the stability of the wrist. It helps with biomechanics of the wrist, but if you don't have the wrist structure that's stable, when the muscles pull on it, it's not going to do anything. So feeling like you can get your grip strength stronger when you don't have stability is a waste of time, and you end up developing tendonitis of the ECU, tennis elbow of the ECU. So it's not, just don't go down that road. But it's good to know that if you have 50 pounds of weight bearing tolerance, that your grip strength should be about 35. And so you can keep your grip strength strong as you're moving through the TFCC rehab protocol. Grip strength also just kind of gives me a general idea of what you do with your hands. If you're somebody that has really high weight bearing tolerance, your ligaments are strong, but your grip strength is really low, then I know that you're not somebody that's using their hands with a lot of force. You're not digging ditches or hanging from bars or climbing with your hands. You're somebody that probably types a lot. And you really do need grip strength to function. So you need stability first and then grip strength. So hi Ricky, hi Yo, hi Miley. So the lateral pinch, you can also do the long flexor of the thumb comes down and often gets scarred with distal radius fractures that involve the TFCC. And so what you see is that when you pull on this muscle and you squeeze it, it creates ulnar side wrist pain. So you can do lateral pinch exercises with this as well. Just get a large volume and pinch through it and do this same thing. 15 repetitions, 3 sets, and hold it, and then high repetition. Tip to tip as well, and then tri-tip as well. So the sand in the ball or a towel or a tennis ball work great. Hi, Bert. Okay, I'm going to take some questions, and I've got 7 minutes here. Does anybody have any questions? I wanted to share with you. I started doing grip strength with the scale, and the reason I started doing this is because I needed an objective measurement of strength. And if somebody lives in Madagascar, Uganda, or places where things aren't readily available, but they have a scale, I'm trying to gather some normative data on using the scale to measure your grip strength. And what I am proposing is that you take a scale, a non-digital scale that you would use for the weight-bearing test. You place your hands on it, just like you were on the Squegg, and you squeeze as hard as you can. And you pull the thumb over to the side, so it would look like this, and it would measure. What I'm finding is that actually correlates pretty well to the Squegg. So it's a little awkward. You can put some sand underneath it to form to your hand to generate a grip, and it's a little bit more comfortable. But I would love if all of you had a chance to get a scale and send in your grip strength numbers using the scale. You can also do single-sided, so even though you're holding it with both hands, you're squeezing with one, and then you can get your measurements right and left. The good thing is that it's a starting point, so you have where you're starting, you're doing an exercise program, and then you can remeasure it. So if you don't have a Squegg and you don't have a dynamometer and you don't have any way to measure your grip strength, try a scale. And then maybe we can get some good data. The dynamometer's like $700 US dollars, which is a lot. And doctors' offices and rehab clinics, they not really open to just taking walking people to measure grip strength. I know that because I've asked for years people to do that. So yeah, get me your numbers on the scale and keep me posted on all of your experiences. And it's nice to be back on TFCC Sundays. Have a great day. I'll talk to you guys next week. We are going to start a series. I'm having some interviews of some different perspectives coming soon, and some physicians that are going to talk about surgery and the post-op rehab. So I hope this is helpful. Happy Sunday, happy spring, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.